What up, everybody? It is your boy James Woody. It is another Wudi-3. All right, we are week 8. My God, the weeks are kind of flying, almost at the halfway point of the season. And I mean, I guess if you're a Jets fan like me, that might be a good thing. We season to end. It's been miserable. I cannot lie. It's been miserable. And I did have a glimmer of hope having another game in which Tyrod Taylor was the starter, but of course, that did not come to be. He gets a lot of injuries, so he's injured right now. So a mere few days after Woody Johnson publicly bashed Justin Fields and said he can't complete a pass, and every head coach would suffer with that QB. He's about to start for the New York Jets again. So that is classic Jets, just bottom of the barrel, just everything. So this week's Wudi-3, I did make it before that announcement of Justin Fields. But after looking at everything again, I realized, you know what? Fields, Tyrod, Woody, no matter who's under center, all these three things are really worth looking at. So that's why I kept it the same. This is, pre-Fields, post-Fields, and let's get into it. All right, we got the Week 8 Wudi-3 right here. And the first one, I'm going to keep it simple. All right, usually the Wudi-3, I pride myself on talking about things that the major networks aren't talking about, but this one is just unavoidable. Everybody's talking about it. It's been a disgusting drought on the offense. We're talking about 2 straight games without a touchdown, 6 straight games without a touchdown in the first half. It can be argued that they haven't even scored a legitimate touchdown since week 1. And what I mean by that is that they only score garbage time touchdowns, right? And that's why that first half stat is so important, because it's not until the game is 2 scores away that they are getting, and it could be more than that. 2 scores, 3 scores, 4 scores 7 years ago. And just all these different, this huge gap in the scoreboard until they start putting up points. So this is a simple one. Can they score a touchdown while it's a 1-score game? That is my hope. That is what I'm looking to see. And the Bengals, they got an offense that might, run away. So we'll talk about that in, just a couple of minutes here. But I mean, I got to see something. And this, I put Tanner Enstrand's picture on here because this is a Tanner thing. And, my guy, Mike LaFleur, who I was a huge fan of coming over here, Kyle Shanahan system, Kyle Shanahan protege, coming here as for the Jets. The big reason why he got fired was because during that losing streak to, we lost, I want to say 6 games to run out the season, his second year, they couldn't score a touchdown. So it's like, you either got to blame Zach or you got to blame the OC. They went with the OC and he was fired. But I really think he was a good offensive mind. We have not seen the creativity that he had since. So I fear that we're in a similar situation where we're not seeing touchdowns, and, we either got to blame Fields or we got to blame the OC. And this time around, it seems like Fields is taking a lot of blame. So I would have loved to see Tyrod here just so that I can see a little bit more clearly, because Tyrod, he was getting the ball out. He was moving the ball even last game against the Panthers. I know he threw 2 picks, but that's obviously, Tyrod, he was underthrowing some balls and, making, I don't want to say bad reads, but really just, ball placement wasn't there. But he had guys, right? He had situations and they did march down the field. So I'm less inclined to blame Tanner Engstrand. I think that he is a good offensive coordinator who has schemed guys open despite having, one great receiver and then a whole bunch of other guys, an inconsistent offensive line and horrific play at the quarterback. So this was a chance for me, assuming Tyrod was playing, to say, okay, let's believe in Tanner answering. With Fields back in there, well, Tanner still showing something, and that's the thing. Good or great, let's say great OCs, they will, still get guys up. You cannot tell me that Justin Fields and Andy Reid wouldn't be able to score a touchdown. You just can't tell me that. So I'm not saying Tanner Entren has to be Andy Reid, but show me that you're good enough to, Fields now, right? You know his strengths, you know his weaknesses. Can you get a touchdown? And that's great. Do you hear how pathetic this is? I'm talking about, can you get a touchdown? Every other fan base, the Saints, scoring, the Titans scoring, the Giants scoring, and we are here just simply begging for a touchdown in a game. But that's how far we have fallen. Somebody who also fell far but is now back on top is Joe Flacco. Not an average Joe. My God. 2 games with the Bengals. The man got over 500 yards, 5 TDs, 0 picks. He is just, he's doing what Flacco does. And what Flacco does is air out the ball. His games with the Jets were Garrett's best games, because all he is doing is feeding Garrett. And, we want to talk about ball placement. He's still one of the best. He's one of the best. He's airing out that ball, and he's just going to, feed his top option with targets. And that is what he did as a Jet. So for people to say like, oh, sucks as a Jet, and then magically, got better elsewhere, I wouldn't say that for Flacco. I would say he pretty much has been the same for the last, 4 or 5 years now. It's just a matter of how well he can be protected, and then of course how good his receiving options are. And during his time as a Jet, both of those were, pretty close to bottom of the barrel. Now he got Jamar Chase, he got T. Higgins, he got like 3 different athletic tight ends that can catch the football. So he is in his glee. The New York Jets defense has played really well the last 2 games, only let up 13 points in both of those last 2 games. So something's going to have to give here. Is the magic of Joe Flacco going to continue, or is the Jets defense going to continue their current run, as soon as Jermaine Johnson came back, of being a stout defense? Would love to see a turnover here. We saw the one, shout out to Jarvis Brownlee, who made the play, but didn't see, any against Carolina. So a turnover would definitely be huge. We know this team is going to do their best to march down the field, especially without Sauce. They're going to be, come on now. Last game, Jamar Chase had 23 targets. I'm telling you, Joe Flacco is just pumping these guys with targets. So without Sauce out there, we'll see, what the game plan is. This is also a Steve Wilks thing, because I did see Sauce and DJ Reed miss a game against the Eagles, and they still forced, Jalen Hurts to have 4 turnovers, and they won that game. That was kudos to Robert Saleh, and I guess you can credit Jeff Oldenburg a little bit for that defensive game plan. So with this, Steve Wilks, the pressure is going to be on Steve Wilks. Pressure is going to be on AG. What can they scheme up to, even though they don't have the personnel, still give fits to Joe Flacco and this electric Cincinnati offense? Tackle dummies, right? This is the last one of the Wudi-3. It was actually made clear. I was speaking to my guy, Dale Altman. All right, Bengals and Brews. He is the host of Bengals and Brews. I was speaking to him on the Boy Green Meets Woody podcast, where Boy Green and I, third party Thursdays, right? On Thursdays, we have the enemy camp come in, and he actually brought this to my attention. And this is something that I don't think enough people are saying. So, of course, I dove into it. The Bengals are literally the worst tackling team in the NFL. Now, don't get me wrong. The Jets aren't too far behind. They're the second worst. But the margin, as a matter of fact, I was saying they're not too far behind, but the margin is actually pretty wide. The Jets have 55 missed tackles, and the Bengals have 79. 79 missed tackles. Like, golly. allow the second most yards in the NFL, and those two stats got to be related because if you can't tackle, they're going to rack up a lot of yards. So this is, Tanner Engstrand. I want to see some screens, man. I've seen screens, but for some reason, the Jets are the only team, and this goes beyond Tanner Engstrand. This is, the last, 10 years, I want to say. I just haven't been able to see them execute a screen. I feel like every screen pass results in a 1 yard loss, or 1 yard gain or a multiple yard loss. I'm trying to see blockers. I'm trying to see, runners. So if we can throw to Brees, I know Arian Smith has been someone that they've thrown the ball to a bunch, or let me not say a bunch, but, a high percentage of the screen passes I've seen have been to Arian Smith. And, I know he's speedy, but just because you're speedy doesn't mean you necessarily have the vision to be able to, run through the blocks of a screenplay. So maybe not Arian. Garrett would have been fantastic, but he's not playing. So give me Brees. Give me Tyler Johnson. Okay, that's somebody who's a little quick, he's already shown some run after the catch ability. We need to see some screens and make these guys tackle. Of course, every single time I say something like this, like, oh, they're the worst in sacks, or oh, they're the worst in this. That team ends up being amazing at that because they're playing the Jets. So maybe that happens again. But that's up to Tanner, right? Draw it up. We're gonna, write the script for the first, drive or so, right? Throw some screens. If they struggle to tackle, all right, boom, let's go. Let's make them tackle. If they are all of a sudden tackling, all of a sudden they become the 85 Bears, then we need to adjust the game plan. So I think that's something so that kind of goes right back to number one, the drought. I'm really trying to see a touchdown while we are within one score of the other team. That is huge. And of course, stopping Joe Flacco. I'm definitely not trying to see another, allowance of 30 points. And let's see the tackling. Can the Jets step up, right? I'm talking about them missing tackles, but they're probably looking at us like they second, So can they step up and make tackles? And again, I think it has been better the last two games. I think that's actually inarguable that the last two games have been better. So let's see what happens. That is the Wudi-3. You've heard from me, and I don't even know. I was telling people to play some bets, last week, and Mason Taylor really let me down. I don't have any predictions. I don't have a score prediction. Parlay prediction is rough. All I know is with Justin Fields at QB, we're not, seeing 200 passing yards. I'm expecting probably more design runs for Fields, just to try to move the chains. Like, that's super important. So I'm thinking, a lot of runs. I think this could be a Brees, a big Brees game, especially if he's afraid to throw down the field, which has been pretty clear that he's afraid to throw down the field, which killed Mason the first half. All right. Well, Brees, I think this could be a Brees legacy game. But that's the positive, Jet fan in me. More rational thinking, it could just end up being an ugly game. But that's the Wudi-3. 3 things worth looking at. And hey, you catch me again, Boy Green meets Wudi, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 3. And then I'll be back next week, next Saturday. Well, it'd actually be our bye week, but I'll still be here. I'll still be talking next Saturday. We'll look at 3 things worth considering during the bye week. Let's get it.